Hello everyone. It's James again. And today, before I get started on the topic, I just want to quickly say, all work in this video contains 100% original content of and by myself, James Smith, otherwise known as Bgood 4000, and was uniquely created with NAWMAL software, by myself, James Smith. As I purchased commercial rights from NAWMAL to produce my unique and original video with this software. Commentary is uniquely my own thoughts, feelings, and expressions. Now that I have that out of the way, I do hope everyone is doing great out there. With that said, I really want to talk about something very important. And that's being careful on how you handle your situation with the narcissist in your life. This is so important, and I don't think it's talked about enough. You see, the main goal when dealing with a narcissist is to get to a point where you don't have to deal with them anymore. Sadly, in many, not all, but many cases, it's not that simple. You see, if you follow the advice of someone that knows very little about narcissism, or possibly just the basic framework regarding narcissism, or heck, someone that doesn't know anything about narcissism at all, but they hear you aren't liking dealing with a particular person, they might tell you to just up and leave. We've all heard that before, right? Well, if you don't like it, why don't you just get up and leave? Now, true, there are some or a lot of toxic emotional ties, because the narcissist is a cunning master at brainwashing their targets into feeling like they need to stick around in a codependent manner. And many of us went through this terrible process in our homes of origins, which did turn us into people pleasers, which did turn us into codependents. But here's the thing. Codependent or not, there might have come a time where you learned about what you were dealing with, or at least to a degree you figured out about what and who you were dealing with, and you really wanted out. No joke. No lie. You wanted out. But you were tied into a job where your boss is mistreating you and you suspect they are a narcissist. Or maybe you're married to one, with lots of legal entanglements. Or you're living together with both your name on a lease. Or maybe you have joint accounts, which is another topic for another video. Or you co-signed a loan for them. Or you both bought a car together. Or you have children. The lists go on and on and on. And despite all of that, someone might give the advice to just get up and leave, throwing caution to the wind, just standing up and marching out of the door. Now, I will say this. If you really feel like you are in immediate danger, then yes, go get help right away, and get out of the situation you are in. However, since we know the narcissist oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes likes to operate in the gray, and because of that everyone's situation is going to be a little bit different. You know, we say that the narcissists, no matter the country they are from, it appears they are all reading off of the same sheet of music. And it's very, very, very true. Though there are some differences, there are too many similarities to ignore. However, everyone's situation with the narcissist will be a bit different. Here's an example. You might be just dating someone for a few months, and your spidey senses go up, and you sense something is wrong, and you believe you are dealing with a toxic personality type. Well, if you've only been dating for a few months, and hopefully haven't signed your name on something with this other person yet, which again is another topic for another video, but one might say, you have less entanglements, so it should be simple to just get up and walk away. Well, in theory that might sound correct. But how you leave could trigger narcissistic injury to the narcissist and could make it so this narcissist starts to call your job and talk to your boss and them telling them all kinds of lies about you. Or maybe they might make a false legal claim against you. The list goes on and on. I think you get my point. Now, should you just stick around? No. You've figured out they are a toxic type of one variety or another. And you have come to the conclusion that you don't want to be with this person anymore. Well, more than likely if you've come to this conclusion, you've sat down and slowed things down and thought about the last few months very carefully. And by doing so, you've come to the conclusion that this individual is someone you no longer want to be with. Well, this same method of thinking about what you now know what this person's problem is, you might, and I stress the word might, as indeed everyone's situation is different. You might want to use the same approach to slow things down and think about the best way and safest way to getting away from such a person. Let's say your lease is going to be up shortly at the apartment you are renting. No, not with the narcissist, but the apartment you are renting by yourself. You might let the narcissist know you don't have time to devote to a relationship as you have to leave for a family emergency. And you don't know how long it will last. Or you can just say that you feel bad that you aren't able to give enough time to the relationship and that they deserve better. And that you are breaking up with them so they can find someone better. These are just examples. But the reasons behind these examples are to not trigger a narcissistic injury. Silly, I know. But ask people that have just dated a narcissist for a handful of months, and the relationship ended badly, to where there was a big falling out. And the one that was leaving said, I read online that you are a narcissist. And blah blah blah. You are a cheat. You are a this. You treat me badly. All things that won't change the fact that the narcissist will continue to be a narcissist. But what can happen by doing this is you might trigger a narcissistic injury, where they might feel the need to get you back so they can feel like they're on top of things again. And they do that by calling your friends, calling your family, posting things about you on social media, and calling your work. This is why I say, if you don't think you are in immediate danger, and you are in a situation like this, you might think of the best way to leave. That will allow you to leave in the safest, easiest way possible. What's kind of interesting? Susie would tell me stories about how her previous boyfriends, the one before me in particular, left under such circumstances. Yes, I know narcissists lie and lie and lie. But she, I believe, was telling the truth on this issue, because she truly believed this person moved out of state. However, a few years later when she bumped into a relative of this guy, they seemed confused because he never moved out of state. You see, though this guy probably didn't know anything about narcissism, he noticed Susie's wanting to get married probably after a few months. Was a completely crazy thing for her to want after a short period of time. And I think he had a together family that told him so. She possibly did the sweet mean cycle on him a bit sooner than they did it on me. Meaning she went from sweet to creating her first large full-scale argument about nothing. Then cry afterwards and say she has no idea why she did what she did. Or whatever excuse she might have given. All of these things led up to her showing her toxic self to this guy in a short amount of time. And he and his family realized she was not someone he should continue to have a relationship with. And this is before the knowledge of narcissism was spreading across the internet. And this guy made up some random excuse. He probably told her how nice and sweet she was, and broke up with her. So she walked away feeling good about herself and her narcissistic ego was still intact. Because here's the thing. When you see the narcissist yell and holler for the first time, it's truly scary. You see this nice mild-mannered person go from 0 to 60 in 1 second. They are kicking your dashboard in your car. They are calling you names. They might throw something at your television set. Or they might break a framed picture on the wall at your home. And once you see that, or at least in this case, Susie's ex probably realized the danger of getting her upset again. So he did what he thought was right to safely get away from her. Now this is important to understand, because there is no one-size-fits-all approach. However, the thing you will want to keep in mind is to be careful. And think about what is right for you and your situation. Here's another example. No contact. Yes. No contact is ideal. But not in all cases is this possible or ideal. Let's say you were married and you have children. And you realize this person you were with is a narcissist or something like that. Well, going no contact might not be realistic if you want to spend time with your children. Now, if you don't have children, and you are able to get divorced, and there are literally no ties keeping you to this person, and the only thing that is bringing you around them is you think they still love you, and the people-pleasing problem known as codependency, then that's a problem. It's your choice. Because no one can tell you what's right for you. But just expect a very difficult and hard life while letting this narcissist still be involved in your life. But in the situation where there is children, there are many people that finally figured out. There is no fixing their ex-spouse. And they know what they are dealing with. And they only deal with their ex for the children's sake. You've heard this statement before. I only deal with them because of my kids. Well, if someone comes along and tells you to go no contact, that might not work for you in your situation. However, I do implore you to sit down and think about how you can possibly handle this situation better. Here's the thing. What love and codependency does is puts us in a situation where we won't do what's right to protect ourselves. When the relationship is more than likely going to end anyways. With the narcissist pulling the plug on us and moving on to another target. All the while they try to drag us through court and fighting for custody. But if you are aware of what is going on, I implore you to at least look at yourself for just a moment. And I mention all of this because let's say you go to seek professional help for codependency. That's great. You might get some awesome help in that regard. But this therapist that might be giving you great advice at this moment might shift gears and tell you that you just need to pack up your bags and leave today. No plan. No nothing. And you may know in your mind that this will shift things in favor of the narcissist and your relationship with your children will be in trouble. And all kinds of things could happen. But here's what I will say. Take a moment and think about it. If you've come to the conclusion that this is not the place for you to be at, it's toxic and a bad situation to be in. At least think about taking a step to getting to your end goal. Sitting down with a legal professional. Saving money. Figuring out what your options are. Now a choice does have to be made sooner rather than later. Because if you don't, the narcissist might make this choice for you by putting you out of your own home. And preventing you from seeing your children. But be careful with snap rash choices. Unless again, you feel like you are in immediate danger. In which case you need to run and get help the second. You see, I learned a lot from Susie's ex. I actually admire the fact that without knowing about narcissism more than likely, he knew enough to get away from her in a few months of knowing her. And he knew enough to get away from her so it wouldn't create a narcissistic injury. To where she could or would do something bad against him. Also when trying to find a therapist. Though one I found was really nice. And as I've mentioned before, he said that if he hadn't gone through personally what he went through with a narcissist, he wouldn't have believed a word I said. But because he lived through it, he understood I was telling the truth. However, the doctor I went to see before, the informed nice one, the guy told him he thought I was too scared to leave Susie and that I should just do it. And that things would work out. I tried to explain to this guy that I completely understand that I've been codependent in this relationship. But I'm not scared anymore about losing her. I was scared because of the legal entanglements. He just kept telling me I need to just leave today. This moment. Despite understanding all of the legal aspects, I knew if I followed this advice, I would have been messed over big time. However, as many of you know, Susie was arrested for domestic, which changed the legal tide in my favor. Now please, don't just sit and wait for that to happen. Because that could backfire and they can pin that on you. And you might get into trouble for something you didn't do. However, in my situation it worked out. Again, there are no one-size-fits-all advice. I've had limited contact with my mother. Why? Because she's mentally and physically at the end of her life. And there is no more harm she can do to me. And I have boundaries I have set where I'm able to keep safe. And for me it works out. Because I've made peace with the fact my mother did the things she did. Things that were beyond wrong. Things that were terrible. But I have forgiven her. Oh yes. I still remember, and that being able to remember helps me see others narcissists out there for what and who they are. But forgiving my mother has lightened my heart. And made me feel better as a person inside. However, regarding your narcissist parent or parents, though you may have gotten to the stage of forgiveness, there is no way contact is possible. And that's okay. That's okay. Don't let someone tell you that you must and 100% have to do this particular thing in your life. Because of this, that and the other. Yes. The goal to when dealing with a narcissist is to get to safety. Yes. It's to limit your time with them. If not, get away from them for good. But it's not always possible. Like the boss you are working with that might be a narcissist. What do? You have a good paying job. Or maybe you don't have a good paying job. But it's better paying than all the other jobs out there in your skill set. And you really need the money to just live and pay your bills. And all of a sudden a narcissist boss starts picking on you. Do you just all of a sudden up and quit with no other job to go to? No. That's probably not a possibility for most people. However, what I will say is this. You might consider the fact, if they are a narcissist or some other toxic personality, that no matter if they have a nice week or a nice month, they will revert back to their toxic ways. It's just a matter of time. And if that's the case, you have a couple of choices. You can stay there and deal with it. Or you can start to make plans. No one can make you leave a job. It's something you have to choose on your own. However, once you understand someone is toxic that you are working with, no matter it be a boss or coworker, you might take at least a few hours a week and freshen up your resume. Or you might scan some of the new job listings out there, possibly paying the same or around the same as what you are getting paid, and submitting your resume to these companies. And if they call you and interview you and offer you the job, you can always say no. You can always say no. But you are taking careful steps. And looking at all of your options. And really that's what it's all about. Yes, sometimes you have to act swift and fast. Like when I called the police and Susie was arrested. I was scared. I won't lie. I didn't know how it was going to play out. But it all in the end worked out correctly. However, looking at Susie's ex, he more than likely thought about what was going on. And came up with a thoughtful game plan to get himself to safety. Just like in a workplace setting. You've noticed your boss is probably a narcissist. And before things get bad, you've already had 3 interviews at different companies. And possibly one might be a good fit. Now that's not a for sure thing, you won't deal with a narcissist there. Because you might. But at least you can possibly get away from this one that has targeted you. And you might bring with you some tricks that can help you stay low on the radar of a workplace narcissist. Simply put, all I'm trying to say is, think about your situation and what works out for you. As most of you know, I have a strong faith. And I prayed. I prayed hard about the Susie situation. And I knew when that therapist that was telling me to just get up and leave, it was wrong. However, the moment she left in handcuffs, my life began to turn around. Your situation may be similar. It may not be. Maybe getting in your car and driving away this moment is the right choice. Maybe going to a lawyer's office tomorrow is the right choice. There's a bunch of combinations out there for what is going to work for you. The best thing to do is listen to others' stories to see what ideas might work for you. And if you are someone of faith, pray about it. You know you need to be in a better situation. The question is how to do it. And that answer may vary. There will be similarities, but there might be differences. With that said, please share your experiences in the comment section. Because the more we share, the more we grow. You never know who you might help by doing so. Also, don't forget to subscribe to be a part of this channel's growth. And don't forget to click the little bell to be notified each and every time I make a new video. Also, don't forget to like and share to let YouTube know this content is important to you. And if you would like to support this content further, you can do so by the way of Patreon. And if you are already supporting by the way of Patreon, I humbly say thank you. With that said, I hope your day was blessed. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.